Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about the benefits and cons of being in the reserves. This is going to be mainly from the Army side of the reserves. I'm a reservist in the Army since 2023 October. I've been in for about a year and a half or so, and I want to help everyone that's thinking about joining the reserves or going through two basic training and telling you what I personally feel is the pros and cons of joining. As a intel analyst, I've been through basic and AIT, so I have a fair bit about good amount to say about what you should think about prior to joining. So, since you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking about joining. I'll start off with the pros on why I feel you might want to join and get the best benefits. So, if TRICARE is going to be number one. This is not an order, by the way. TRICARE is just your health insurance by the Department of Defense. It's really good. A lot of medical centers actually accept it. You can search online, but it's great. I've used it 2 times, and it covers, from what I've heard, it's really good for really just any kind of medical care. However, that's just one benefit, and you shouldn't join based on just TRICARE. Second is veteran status. Upon completion or even joining the military, whether you're separated, discharged, or hurt, you will actually become a veteran, which is actually a form to give you a DD-214. Whether you finish or not, I have it. I got it sent through the mail once I finished my AIT as a intel analyst, and basically you can just show that to an employer. The great thing about that is it gives you a preference, a veteran's preference for a lot of city jobs and government jobs, and that's pretty awesome. So that's also really good. Third is experience. A lot of MOSs, military occupational specialties in the Army, actually transfer very well to civilian life. A lot of great ones are the 35 series Intel series MOS, which can be everything from 35 Tango, which is a IT specialist. You get a bunch of credentials and the trifecta in IT, and even a clearance, which I'll follow up with. But the experience you get is invaluable. A lot of employers love seeing IT specialties, logistics, interpreters, and even maybe even special training you got. But for the most part, it's going to be more of the technical side MOSs. So, for example, as an intel analyst, it was about 16 weeks, and that offered me training and analysis, and could potentially lead as a career into FBI or even analyst for the government in several different sectors. So it really depends on how you word it, but a lot of careers MOSs are transferable. The experience is something that sometimes it can be gathered in other places such as university, but the military aspect, if you want that. So definitely the training is one that I would recommend, mainly 35 Tangos and 35 Mikes, counterintelligence. Really great. Logistics, like I mentioned, the coordinators is a great industry. Fourth, if you really just want to scratch the itch. I've personally always wanted to join. I joined at 28 years old, and I have no regrets. I love what I've become a part of. It feels great to serve, and it's really a part-time commitment in the reserves, which I feel is a great way to join the military and see if you like it or not, to be honest. I did a 3-year contract, and that's actually the shortest one in the Army Reserve you can do on a initial. As far as I'm aware, it's actually the only branch you can do such a thing as a 3-year on your first contract, which is pretty awesome. Fourth is, I apologize, I lost track. Fifth is a clearance. A clearance actually might open doors for you in the future. Once you leave, especially as a reservist, you can look for companies that want someone with a clearance, a secret, top secret. So basically, once you get a clearance, you can apply for jobs, and it's another barrier that you're crossing. A lot of employers actually save money by getting people that already have clearances. They don't have to pay for your background checks. Especially good for defense contractors, such as Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. A lot of these companies that require employees with the clearance might actually want you. So definitely will help in those higher paying roles, potentially. The next one I want to go over is a sense of community and camaraderie. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like the Band of Brothers TV show where everyone is the best buds. You're definitely going to have people you dislike, especially during basic and AIT if you were to join. However, it definitely does be most white collar jobs where there's really no sense of community or a supposed family. It does feel like you're actually involved. People care about you. They always, my team always, my unit always follows up with me, asks me how I'm doing, how are you doing out there, are you okay, are you still alive, things like that. So it definitely feels good to belong to a army, the biggest army in the world. It's awesome. Next, I want to mention a few minor benefits, nothing crazy, just discounts, Veterans Day, having those free meals, and showing your military ID and getting discounts on stuff is always pretty cool. I also would say, now let's go over to the cons. Now, the cons are really what everyone should really think about, because these are major life changes. Joining the military is not to be taken lightly. It is definitely something that will affect you every day on your day-to-day. And I'm going to get down to that. So let's start off with time away from family. Depending on how long your AIT, your individual training is, and other circumstances, you could actually be there longer as more than intended, but the training could be lengthier, especially during MOSs that require a lot of technical knowledge, such as 35 Tango or cybersecurity specialists. A lot of the more coveted positions require a lot more intense training. You're going to miss out on family, birthdays, maybe even funerals, family members passing away if they're old and they really are already in that kind of condition. It could happen. It happened to me. So you have to be willing to accept that. You have to talk with your family, let them know what might happen, because it's always good to expect the unexpected. I personally missed out on a funeral and I felt terrible. You will get to go home in the Army. They have the 14 days off for winter leave for Christmas, federal holidays. You have to pay out of your own pocket to leave training to go home, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. And even on a deployment, which could be up to 6 to 9 months, you have to be okay with the fact that you're gonna be gone. You can't just go home whenever you feel like it. You're with the unit, you're with the team, you're not going anywhere. You go where they go. And that's the end of the story, unfortunately. Another con is, I'm going to say, UCMJ laws are now in effect for you. You now belong to a separate set of laws, military codes and regulations that the regular civilian population doesn't belong to. You are subject to penalties that you must follow. And there's these things called Article 15s and counselings, which if you do not do what your drill sergeants ask of you during training, you could get counseled, you can get articled. So really you have to be attentive, paying attention, doing what you're told, and making as few mistakes as possible, because it's not as chill as a civilian job. But in the other regard, you could get just fired from getting a civilian job, whereas in the military, you just get a counseling, an article, a slap on the wrist, really, which is not as bad as getting fired. But it could lead to consequences, like I said. I can get more into that in another video if you really want me to follow up on that. Another con is setbacks. So during my time in the military, in the training, going to the 10-week basic and then my 16-week AIT, I saw people get held back. It's called recycling, and really what happens is when you mess up too much, maybe it could either be for physical reason, you got injured and you have to stay there as you heal up, because you can't keep going with training if you're injured, or you failed weapons qualification was another one I saw. So you had to get recycled to another class that was just starting out, and now you're part of their company, and so you have to be there an extra maybe 2-3 weeks, or possibly you just made way too many performance mistakes and you find reasons to keep you back. Rucking, if you ruck and you don't complete the ruck, especially the final one, or you don't complete the ACFT, which is the standardized testing, you have to stay until you pass that. There's a lot of reasons you can be held back. Nobody wants it. It's what everybody talks about in the whispers in the dark, but it's always in the back of your mind. So if you're going to do this, make sure you're in tip-top shape. You fix anything before you even leave, and you understand what you're about to get into. It's a rigorous and very physical on the day-to-day. Another con is biases that Americans may have. Being in the military, it paints a certain picture about you people might have in their minds, especially because military has just gone through so many different things. People might criticize you. They'll see you as that army guy or the military dude, and I'm not going to go too much into detail, but people might just see you in a different way, and it's not always for the best. Employers specifically, some of them might not want to hire you. There's definitely laws in place for that keeps from discrimination against people that are in the military from getting fired. As a reservist, you can't get fired if you have to leave to do an obligation. They have to keep your spot, but also some employers might just toss your resume without anyone knowing, and no one would know. But others might love you. So it's really a two-way street there. But be okay with that. Maybe I've never personally had it happen to me when I was in uniform or anything like that, but there are people out there that will be judgmental, unfortunately. The next con I have for you is injuries. It's actually not that common, but it does happen in basic training, IT, when you're rucking. It's a lot of people aren't used to 40-35 pounds rucks as they're marching in for miles or the ACFT. A lot of people haven't ever done anything like that, so there is going to be people getting injured, and unfortunately having to be kept there as they heal and as they can't proceed, like I mentioned. But there is always the Veterans VA. I'm just saying, if you do, make sure that you log that, because that is very important to have a paper trail of, from what I've been told. Next, I want to say the pay. Especially as an enlisted, I'm an E4. I have a college degree. So I came in as an E4. It's about $2,500 around there a month. When you don't include BAH, which is the basic allowance for housing, which pays for your rent back home. And honestly, the pay isn't that great. You're definitely going to be taking a pay cut if you have a good career, a better than minimum wage job. It's going to feel like a definite downgrade. But you also have to take into account how long you're going to be there. You might not just be there for long. It's really just a temporary thing. If it's a longer time, it's not fun to get paid less than you were making before. But if you really want to do this, it's more than about the money to some people. Really, it's a temporary change during the training, but this is without BAH. If you have rent, that's actually pretty awesome. I mean, you also have to consider the free housing, the barracks housing. with a roommate, and also the meals that you technically pay for out of your paycheck. I can go into more of that into detail in another video. And then next con I want to say is, and the final one is there's going to be a temporary change and shift of lifestyle. Like I mentioned, there's going to be things such as there's going to be scheduled inspections by drill sergeants who oversee you. It won't be told, it'll be random. Imagine someone going into your room, checking for contraband, checking for cleanliness, checking for anything out of regs, and you get wrote up on it. Essentially, you get in trouble with counseling, and you have to be okay with someone getting your personal business. As an adult, reaching like my 30s, it can be a definite change of lifestyle. You almost feel like a child sometimes, but it definitely is something that is part of the military lifestyle during training. Another thing is the battle buddy system. I've heard in the other branches it's not as common, but in the Army, you're going to have someone with you at all times. During the basic NAIT, you will never be alone, and that is for accountability. But basically, if you're ever caught alone, you will be in deep trouble. You always have to have someone with you. Whether you want to go, at least when you leave the barracks, you have to be with someone. Whether you're going to the cafeteria or you need to go somewhere looking around, shopping, you need to have someone with you. You can't ever do it alone. So that's another thing during those training months. And finally, the formations. This is just a military thing, but if you want to get a head start, look up cadences and formations. These are going to be something you do every single day. You're going to wake up really early, typically, starting off the day. You're going to form up in any kind of weather, and you're going to form up outside. You're going to be there on time. Remember, early is on time, and on time might be late. So remember these crucial steps, these pros and cons. I hope this video has helped you. And again, this is from a reservist stand of view. The active duty side is incredibly different, and this is from the Army perspective. So I hope this video has helped you. If you want to see future videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. I want to keep making content like this and helping out other people that want to serve our great country. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.